Okay. I love you, 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 love you,
Yo, what is going on, guys? Slipa here, and today I want to talk about Neo's new film, The Dark Reign Part 2, A Beautiful Day. This premiered this morning, by the time I'm recording this, and I really enjoyed this film. I actually helped out Neo with this film, but regardless of that, you know, I didn't help out with the whole thing. I helped out with some final scenes, but regardless of that, I think it was a really good film. I enjoyed sitting through it. It was one of the only plush movies I've been able to actually sit through and enjoy and be on the edge of my seat for. And before I get into any sort of review, I highly recommend anyone watching this to go check it out. I'll leave a link for it in the description. This is a great film. A great film. I think you guys should go check it out. I highly encourage you to. He works so hard on this. Like, go check it out. It took him a year to make this. He deserves as many views as he can get. But yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. Overall, the film has some great, like, really outstanding character development. That's one of the main things that sticks out for me in this film is the character development. Not only being able to fit all these characters in an action-filled movie, but to also be able to fit the character development along with that. I find that that is really important, especially in plush movies, because the emotion comes out of the personalities of the characters rather than the looks and the facial expressions, because they are plush toys. And Neo nailed this. Like, he absolutely nailed this. I also love how there's little side stories in the movie, like Southtown versus Stupidopolis, when the statue gets stolen. I love how that all sort of just connects together. There's these side stories going on and all these different conflicts going on that lead up to the one main conflict. It's kind of like a tree. You know, they all sort of just connect together and then leading into this final sort of fight scene, you know. The tension really builds up around the movie, you know, already from a collapsed past with other lore that had to do with Last Days and Dark Reign Part 1. You know, there's so much tension and conflict built up in this world and these universes that it really just comes together. And then the inclusion of Adam's world in this, and then his character's conflict coming into this world, really just sets up a sequel. Like, it really just sets up like a whole new line of episodes, just a whole new series. Like, I really do enjoy all the conflict in this movie, and I think he did really well in this. I did watch critics review on this movie, and I think he was a little bit harsh on some of the things. I actually highly disagree with him on some of the things. Like, he said something about Dimitri's screen time, and he compared it to Darth Vader in Star Wars, and how Darth Vader only having 5 to 6 minutes of screen time throughout the 3 movies was the best part. I highly disagree with that, because what makes a great villain is not their screen time, it's their development, and showing not only that they're super powerful and they can take a hit and they're super badass because they can knock off anything that gets thrown at them, but also their emotion and what builds up to them being a villain. And in this movie, I feel like it explains that perfectly. The build up to Dimitri is a very complex story, and it's been explained a little bit in Last Days. Not all of it. There's a lot more to Dimitri's story than the public knows about, but I think Dimitri got perfect screen time, and every single time Dimitri was on the screen in this movie was amazing character development and showing his struggles and showing the lead up to him becoming Sovereign Dimitri, showing the lead up to him destroying Neo. But yeah, I think that was phenomenal. The only complaint I have about Dimitri, and this is also just with every character that has voice effects on them, I feel like he needs to lower the voice effects a little bit. That way we can hear the actual voice a little bit more. Even though it cuts away from the creepiness, it was sometimes pretty hard to understand what Dimitri was saying, and I'm not sure if that's because the music was too loud in the background, or if his voice, because Dimitri's voice is 3 different layers. It's a regular voice, it's an echo, and then it's a deeper voice. So I feel like he should turn down the echo and the deeper voice just a little bit more and keep the regular voice just higher. That way we can understand and make the speech more sharp, because that's the only really that's the biggest complaint I have about this movie, is it was hard to understand Dimitri a lot of the time. Of course, I know what he was saying because I was there for a lot of the film production of it, but a lot of the viewers I could see having a hard time understanding what he's actually saying. Now, I know Critic also had a complaint about the scores. The scores in this movie, aka the music, the background music, a lot of them were pretty good, I gotta admit, but some of them really just didn't fit. Like the scene where it's Southtown versus Stupidopolis, that score did not fit at all. I feel like that's sort of a goofy fight scene because they're fighting over something really stupid. They're fighting over this dumb little conflict. I feel like that's more of one of the goofy conflicts that really brings the movie together. And the music that Neo put behind it, this like really hardcore heavy action music, I didn't feel like was necessary. I feel like he could have put something light but still action-esque from like Kevin MacLeod's scores or something like that. That was the main score I sort of had a complaint about. And then when Neo's scarf first turns into the dragon, that was very the score, the scene is super nice. I like that scene, really cool scene, but the score really makes it underwhelming, and I'll show you that real quick. It was kind of just this build up to a dubstep drop, which is the same song I used for fighting Callisto Zarinator for when Freddy sucked him into the Protosphere. But I feel like he should have used a different score for that. Not only because we've used that before in the series, but because I feel like that fight would have been more unique with a different score. I also just feel like that song didn't really fit. I personally wish I didn't put that song in Last Days Part 6. But that's just personal complaint of mine. And the last real complaint I have, and this one was only because I really wanted to see this final fight, I guess, but there's some run-on scenes in this movie. Like, the drone footage of, like, the 460 or 420p drone footage or whatever, 360p, when Kelsey died, is like really run on. I feel like we should have. I really would have loved to see more clips of Neo and Kelsey from the plush series, like actual clips of them just taken from the plush series. I think that would have been way nicer. The drone footage was kind of run on, and it didn't really fit. Like it didn't fit because, you know, Neo didn't actually film the drone footage. He just got it off of YouTube. It would have worked for a little bit, but I feel like it just didn't fit for as long as it was on the screen. That's just the one complaint I had about that. I really like the whole scene after Kelsey dies, though. I think it's really emotional, and I think it was sought out really well. I really like how that went. Also, I want to talk about the beginning nightmare. I really, really like that scene. I think that had to be one of the most perfect ways to start this movie, because it just had a real Hollywood movie vibe to it. It really felt like he had learned his mistakes from the first one and fixed them. He figured out how to add a good beginning to his story, and that was perfect. Showing Neo's mom and the whole nightmare scene, and just like the perfect like Hollywood-esque nightmare, like turning up the speed duration and just moving to Neo really quick. Perfect, so perfect. I love that scene. That's something I wouldn't have thought of, and I really like that. I that's something I would love to put in one of my films. I like that a lot. Also, the scene where Neo and Kelsey go back into the past, and they have the scene where they see Dimitri crying, and then they get launched back into the future and they slam down on their backs. I was there to help Neo film with that part, but the editing really made it stand out. It was not how I expected the scene to go. The scene was a lot better than I expected. I really, really like that scene with Eon in Dimitri. I think that's sort of like, you know, the whole movie just builds up Dimitri perfectly, like perfectly. But then you also get that slight little bit of Eon buildup, because Eon doesn't really have much emotion to his character. He's kind of just a badass. So that Eon buildup and kind of just teasing Eon throughout the movie, and then seeing him just come in at the beginning and just murder Neo was so satisfying. Just beyond satisfying. A lot of the deaths in this movie were pretty useless, I guess you can say. Like when the Sock Man died, you know, he came back to life. I liked the way he came back to life. I think Neo did it perfectly when he brought him back to life. I think that was a perfect way to bring him back to life, since he does revive people, so he could technically revive himself, I guess. And then, you know, he just kind of showed off how powerful he was when he came back. But if he would have left him dead too, that would have been a perfect way to kill him. Either way, I think it turned out really well. But if it was just that surprise random kill, super good. Super good. Either way, I really like that. I think that was pretty good. The one complaint I do have, though, about run-on deaths is with Malware. Now, when Malware died by Dimitri with the knife the first time, I was like, okay. Like, he finally died after getting tricked by the corrupt Sock Man. And then he comes back as his Callicicial form, which I guess you can say he had that, his like monstrous, his innator form, I guess you can say, amalgamation innator or something like that. You know, he had his monster form, and I guess you can say, like, when that form, just like Zarinator, is in serious danger and serious help, they kind of take on this like final frenzy stand, and that's how someone would turn into a Callicicial. Little lore sneak peek there. So I guess you can say that's how he sort of came back, but I didn't understand the flash drive and how he came back. Like, is how Malware ended up being TV. That was a surprise for me. Hell, I didn't even know that was gonna happen, you know. And I love how he covered it up by saying he possessed Funtime Freddy and whatnot to frame Neo. Really like that. And then how Malware didn't know that he was TV. So TV, in the flashback from Last Days, never actually died. Just rose. TV got turned into something else for better use. And I really like that. I think that was really well put together and really well covered up, because you can tell, you know, he sort of changed his mind. He didn't like the way TV was going, being dead. He didn't like the way that Malware was with Funtime Freddy. But now that TV's actually technically dead, aka Malware, I feel like we're gonna have to see a return or something like that. I'd love to see a return of TV, because I want more character development. We don't ever get to see TV, and I want to see Rose really bad, because it's the three main characters. Even though we've only really seen Neo, the three main characters are technically Rose, TV, and Neo, and I want to see them. I think they're gonna have really great character development whenever Part 3 is done. But yeah, guys, overall, I really like this movie. I'm gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10. There was a few things that were just run on that I didn't really like. I had a few complaints, but other than that, I think it was really good and really well put together. And the whole thing that really tied up the movie was the credit scene. The credit scene was perfect, but what made it even better and satisfying is the music that he used in the credit scene. That made the whole movie so satisfying, and just rounding it up and tying it all together. And then the post-credit scene was just perfect, set up a whole new line of lore and a whole new character that we get to discover either in the next few episodes or Dark Reign Part 3. But yeah, I honestly give that movie a 9.5 out of 10. That was a fantastic movie, definitely worth the 2 hour and 30 minute watch time. And I highly recommend all of you guys to go check it out. Amazing movie. So good. He took a year to make this. Like, it would mean the world if you guys would just go check it out and like the video. And just go check it out and just, you know, kind of explore the Neo universe a little bit. Because The Neo universe connects to my universe, so if you're invested in my lore, you're gonna want to be invested in his lore. I think his lore is really cool. I think you guys will like it if you haven't explored his channel. But yeah, with that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and see you next time. Later.